Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So Maurice Hooker lost again. It's his second fight in a row. So the question is, right, with Maurice Hooker being a two-time champion and the fact that he's not winning fights, he's never, in my opinion, looked super spectacular in the ring. But you would almost expect for him to come in there and find a way to win, find a way to make adjustments because of his trainer, Mack. Mack trains Terrence Crawford. But to see him get in there, right, and lose the way he did, seeing how Amir Khan got with Mack and lose the way he did, it makes you wonder, is Mack a good trainer? Or is he just lucky to be going on a ride with a fighter like Terrence Crawford, who can figure things out on his own and doesn't really need a trainer? Did Mack just get lucky with Terrence Crawford? Okay, that's a real question that we need to ask ourselves. But what is Mack outside of Terrence Crawford, right? Who has Mack trained and made better? Who has he trained and made better? Because there's no way in the world Maurice Hooker, and I like Blair Flair Cobb, he shouldn't have lost to Blair Flair Cobb. Maurice Hooker shouldn't have lost that fight. And what I think is happening is, I think Mack should really be a one-person trainer. And that one person should be Terrence Crawford. Because there's something missing from that whole camp over there. And I think when you have someone with the kind of talent that Crawford has, it doesn't take much to get a guy like that to perform to his potential because of what's inside of that fighter. That's like in a professional basketball team, football team, or even in boxing, right? If you have a solid team that can get in there and figure it out and work together, the coach's job is easy. They really don't need it. The coach can suck. The team's going to do well because of the players. And the same thing with like boxing. You know, don't get me wrong, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but Floyd Mayweather, the way his dad trained him, and even what he learned from Roger, right? Let's just be real. What kind of advice or was anyone giving Floyd Mayweather in any of the fights you can remember watching him after he had like 20 pro fights? What changes or adjustments was Floyd Mayweather really having to make in that ring? You see what I'm saying? Pacquiao, you know, what changes or adjustments was Freddie Roach really helping him make in the ring? You know, I'm talking about Marquez was a different story. But what I'm getting at is when you have a fighter that's that talented and that exceptional, it can make the trainer look great and it can get that trainer to Hall of Fame, to the Hall of Fame, if they stick with the one fighter. But where you start seeing flaws in the trainers when they start bringing on other fighters and those fighters don't perform. And that's what I'm seeing with Mack. He just doesn't seem to have it. Now, Eddie Reynoso, he took on several fighters. All of them performed well. Ryan Garcia, Ruiz, and the Cuban Flash. I'm seeing his face and everything, man. The hell is the Cuban Flash's name? That's my boy too, man. But anyway, I can't remember his name. But you see what those three guys did underneath Eddie Reynoso. It doesn't matter what what's his name says, Ryan Garcia. Under Eddie Reynoso, those guys got better. And it showed that Eddie Reynoso, he obviously has something as a trainer. But I just have to wonder, man, for Maurice Hooker, this is the point where maybe it's time for him to part ways with Mack and find someone who can deal with a tall, lanky fighter who has power, but maybe lacks focus and discipline, because he was in there asking Mack, should I faint? Should I faint? It's like, my man, you should be doing all kind of feints with your feet, with your upper body, with your jab, your head movement, everything. Like, that's one-on-one stuff. So when I hear that, that tells me that there's obviously some stuff Bomack hasn't drilled into him to where it becomes instinctive. And that's a problem. So to me, he needs to get the hell away from Bomack immediately and find someone who can help him. And hey, there's no shame in trying to hook up with a Manny Robles or the guys down there in Dallas, man. They probably won't want him. Spence's coach. What's his name, man? See, I'm tripping. Can't even call the dude's name. But hook up with the whole Lions only camp. He's from Dallas. And train with them, man, and see if he can help get him better. Because I think Maurice Hooker, man, I think he's on the downside, man. I honestly do. And I like him. I think he has something there that's salvageable. But I just don't think he's gonna get where he needs to be messing around with a guy like Bomack. I just don't see it. I mean, when Terrence Crawford comes up to the ring and he's trying to coach you in between rounds, and Bomack is sitting there reticent, that's a problem. That tells me Bomack don't know what the hell to do. Terrence Crawford is coaching you now? Crazy, man. That's problematic. So that tells me there's no organization over there, and Bomack isn't a true leader. Because as a true leader, man, he would have shut that shit down. Terrence Crawford, man, hey, I got it, whatever. It's nothing personal, but he's not like that. He is no true leadership. But that's my opinion. I'll leave your comments below and let me know what you think. But I just don't think Bomack, I don't think he has what it takes as a trainer to really help anyone outside of Terrence Crawford. And I can't call anyone off the top of my head. I'm not aware of him training and developing anyone else. But he may be, a one-fighter trainer. And that's okay. But Maurice Hooker's got to do what's best for him. And I understand loyalty and all that, but, man, you getting clipped like that, there's a short shelf life when it comes to being a boxer. And you got to make as much money as you can, especially while you're hot. Right now, Maurice Hooker is becoming cold. And, he got to expect pretty cold and discouraging paydays going forward because he's losing. And that's not good. And he's not struggling to make the weight and everything else. So this may be a one-off because everything he had going on. That stuff affects you, It is what it is. It's like when Daniel Jacobs got in the ring after, I think it was his grandmother passed away, Bird or whatever the nickname was. That messed with his head when he went in that fight and got knocked out. But nevertheless, I hope Maurice Hooker bounces back, and we'll see if that was just a fluke. But if he's still with Bomack and he loses again to someone who he should win against, then he needs to really reassess. But right now, I think the verdict is out on whether Bomack is a good trainer or whether he's a bad trainer or he's just a one-type trainer for Terrence Crawford. But I personally think it's a mixture of him. I think Bomack knows boxing, but I think he just kind of got lucky having a guy like Terrence Crawford out there where he could bring him along because just the natural athleticism, ability, was a wrestling background, chip on his shoulder, he just had all the qualities you want in a fighter. And between Bomack and whoever else was in that gym was helped to bring the best out of him. But I personally don't think Bomack has proven himself to be an elite trainer. You could say, well, look what he did with Terrence Crawford, and I get that. But who else has he developed? Okay, and I'll leave it as that. But that being said, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to the veterans. Y'all keep cool. And as always, I'm in the breeze.